In 1935, Germany, one of the most educated, culturally sophisticated nations on earth, passed laws stripping an entire people of their citizenship, not because those people had done anything wrong, not because they were a military threat, but because they were Jews. And here's what should keep you up at night. It wasn't new, it wasn't German, and it wasn't over. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest, continuously active hatred. We're talking 2,500 years. Babylon, Rome, the Crusades, the Inquisition, pogroms, the Holocaust, and the comments that Jews receive in the media to this day. Tonight I'm going to tell you exactly why people hate Jews, the history, the psychology, and what Jewish wisdom has to say about surviving it. So let's be clear here. Hitler didn't invent anti-Semitism. He inherited it, refined it, industrialized it. But the raw material was already thousands of years old. The first recorded anti-Semitism is in the book of Esther, around 480 BCE. Haman tells King Ahasuerus, "There is a people scattered abroad. Their laws are different from every other people." That's it. That's the original charge. You're different. You won't worship our gods. You won't eat our food. You refuse to fully assimilate. The very first accusation against Jews was simply, "You're the other." Now, Rome tolerated a lot of religions. They added conquered people's gods to the pantheon. But Jews said no to that deal. One God, no compromise. Roman writers like Tacitus and Juvenal wrote about Jews as antisocial, clannish, enemies of mankind. The charge evolved. Now it wasn't just "you're different," it was "you're dangerous." Now, I say this as someone who deeply respects Christianity. Listen, I'm a graduate of Boston College, Jesuit. Some early Christian theology taught that Jews bore collective guilt for the death of Jesus. This teaching, called deicide, saturated European culture for over 1,000 years. It produced the Crusades. It produced forced conversions. It produced the blood libel, the insane, murderous lie that Jews used Christian children's blood in Passover rituals. The Roman Catholic Church has gone to great lengths to fight this charge of deicide and other anti-Semitic things. The problem being the cultural residue has lasted centuries. During the Middle Ages, Jews were banned from owning land, excluded from most guilds, and forced into money lending, one of the few economic roles permitted to them. Then they were hated for being moneylenders. Notice the pattern. Create the condition, blame the people for the condition you created. Didn't get any better during the Enlightenment. When Europe started offering Jews emancipation, civil rights, citizenship, a new hatred emerged. Even if we let you in, you'll never really be one of us. Jews became too secular, or too religious, too communist, or too capitalist, too powerful, or too weak. The accusations kept shape-shifting, and that's a clue. The 19th and 20th centuries brought a new charge, racial anti-Semitism. You can convert a Jew, but you can't make them not Jewish. The racists said it's in the blood. This is what the Nazis seized and what led to 6 million murders. Oh, today, now the charge has mutated again. It's dressed in the language of human rights, of anti-colonization. But when the standard applied to Israel is applied to no other nation, and when Jewish students on campus feel afraid to identify as Jewish, we need to call it what it is. The costume changes, the hatred doesn't. You see, criticism of a country becomes hatred of a people. That's where you've crossed the line. So why does this keep happening? History tells us what happened. Psychology asks why it keeps working. I want to give you 3 psychological explanations, and I think if you're honest, you'll find them disturbing, because they're not really about Jews at all. Scapegoating, or the lightning rod effect. When societies feel threatened, economic collapse, plague, war, social upheaval, they look for someone to blame. And throughout history, Jews have been the available, visible, already othered group. Medieval plague? The Jews poisoned the wells. Lost a war? Jewish traders stabbed us in the back. Economy collapsed? Jewish bankers manipulated it. Jews become a lightning rod for collective anxiety. It wasn't about what Jews actually did. It was about the psychological need to externalize fear and failure. It's not my country's fault, it's someone else's. The second reason is cognitive dissonance, the chosen people problem. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The Jewish concept of being a chosen people has created centuries of resentment. Now, what does chosen actually mean in Judaism? It means chosen for responsibility, chosen to carry the Torah, chosen to be a model, what the prophet Isaiah called an or legoyim, a light to the nations, a lighthouse to protect from crashing onto the rocks. It's not that we're better. It's we have some obligations. But that distinction gets lost, doesn't it? But the resentment doesn't. The projection of conscience. This one is the most provocative, and it comes from several serious schools of anti-Semitism. Judaism introduced the world to ethical monotheism. Now, that's the idea that God demands moral behavior. The 10 Commandments. The prophets screaming at kings about justice. The insistence that no one is above the law, not even elected politicians. Say it again, no one is above the law. And of course, some people hate being reminded of that. If the Jews represent the conscience of civilization, its moral demand, then eliminating Jews is an unconscious way of silencing that conscience. In the Talmud, Tractate Shabbat 89b, God asked the nations why they rejected the Torah. Because it forbids murder, they say, because it forbids theft. Even in our ancient literature, we understood some people hate the message, so they kill the messenger. Jews control the media, the banks, the government. Notice you can't apply that logic to any other ethnic group without people calling it what it is, bigotry. So why is it different for the Jews? That's not a rhetorical question. Think about it. What do we do with all this? Okay, we've walked through 2,500 years of hatred. We got the psychology. Now what? Well, because I'm a rabbi and I do lots of Jewish things and I put it in the broadcast, I want to tell you what Jewish wisdom has to say, not just as victims of history, but as people who have been thinking about this for millennium. The Torah commands 36 times, more than any other commandment, do not oppress the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. 36 times, the rabbis say. A commandment repeated that many times is one we are most likely to violate. It's hardwired into Jewish consciousness precisely because we know what it feels like to be the other. Our suffering is supposed to produce empathy, not bitterness. Remember Egypt not to nurture grievance, but to protect others from experiencing what we experienced. Maimonides, Rabbi Maimonides, 12th century philosopher and physician, argued that hatred born of ignorance can only be defeated by knowledge. You cannot reason with a mob, but you can educate a generation. And that's exactly why I do these podcasts, these videos, and that's why at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, I'm live on TikTok. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz. He lost nearly his entire family in the camps. And he wrote this: everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. The Nazis tried to take everything from the Jewish people, our land, our families, our names. They replaced them with tattooed numbers, and still we rebuilt, still we created, still we chose life. There is a phrase every Jew knows, Am Yisrael Chai, not the country. The people of Israel live. And that's a very important distinction, because Judaism is not the same as a geopolitical country called Israel. The Babylonians thought they eliminated us. The Romans thought they eliminated us. Hadrian banned Jewish practice on the pain of death. He literally renamed Israel Palestine, the land of the Philistines, to erase us from the map. The Inquisition, the Cossacks, the Nazis. And here I am. Here we are, lighting candles, arguing Talmud, making bad jokes, streaming on TikTok. Every generation has produced people who wanted us gone, and every generation we have outlasted them. So why do people hate Jews? Let me answer the question directly. People hate Jews because we were different, and then because we were subversive. Oh, and then because we were guilty, and then because we were parasites, and then because we were unassimilated, and then because we were a racial contaminant, and then because we were colonizers. Did I miss anything? The charge has never stopped changing, which tells you the charge was never the real issue, never the real issue at all. The real answer: anti-Semitism is a mirror. It reflects the fears, failures, and moral evasions of the societies that practice it. Every generation invents a new Jewish crime to justify an old Jewish hatred. And through it all, we're still here. Not because we're better. Not because we're chosen in some superior sense. Because we are a people who have decided again and again, in the darkness of circumstances to choose life. L'chaim, to life. That's all the anti-Semites in the world have never been able to take from the Jews, take from us, and they never will. I'm Rabbi Ken Block. You can Google me, Rabbi Kenneth B. Block, if you like. I hope this video made you think, maybe made you angry. Think about it. And if you'd like to see me live every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. on TikTok, and the Rabbi and I podcast, and the Rabbi and I videos on YouTube, and Joe Sutliff is the I. One of the comments I get many comments. One of them is, Jews control everything. Notice you apply that to no other group. Just ask yourself why you don't say the Irish, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Presbyterians. Israel is committing genocide. I hold Israel accountable, so can you. But when that's the only country whose existence you question, that's not human rights. That's a pattern. Oh, the Holocaust is exaggerated. It's fake. There are 6 million reasons you're wrong. And I'm related to some of them. Oh, Jews aren't even a real ethnicity. We're the only people who got kicked out of their homeland 2,000 years ago and came back speaking the same language. That's remarkable, not suspicious. Oh, you Jews are always playing the victim card. We're not playing anything. We're reading the historical record. Would you like a bibliography? Okay. The Book of Esther, the first recorded anti-Semitic charge, 480 BCE. Tacitus, Historicus, Roman hostility to Jewish distinctiveness. Of course, the Talmud, Shabbat 89b, nations rejecting the Torah because they didn't want to be held up. Maimonides, our great physician, guide for the perplexed. Knowledge is the antidote to ignorance. And Isaiah said, you're to be a lighthouse in all the goyim, a light to nations. That's what you're supposed to be. And Viktor Frankl, in his Man's Search for Meaning, taught freedom of your attitude. And one that we see violated here in the United States over and over again, Deuteronomy 10:19, love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You can always email me, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. I'll be glad to discuss, to review, to ask me questions. Please, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening.